Reading the title of this discussion might lead someone to think it will be about the detailed nuances of intimate oral affection from experts. However, the focus here is different. While it is indeed about oral intimacy, the key emphasis is on the connection between partners and understanding each other's desires and boundaries. The essence lies not just in the physical act, but in the deeper communication and mutual respect that makes such moments truly meaningful. Have you ever found yourself eagerly anticipating a birthday or holiday gift, dropping hints to those around you about what you'd like, only to unwrap something completely unexpected? It's a situation most people have experienced. The moment can be bittersweet. You feel grateful for the thoughtfulness of the giver, yet there is an unmistakable sense of disappointment because the gift doesn't match what you desired or hinted about. The irony lies in the social expectation we are taught to express thanks and appreciation no matter what, masking any dissatisfaction to avoid hurting feelings. On the flip side, the gift giver often assumes you will treasure their selection, regardless of whether it aligns with your preferences, expecting gratitude simply for the act of giving. This dynamic creates a subtle dance of pretending and unspoken feelings on both sides. Neither is fully honest in the moment, and sometimes those unspoken emotions can linger and affect the relationship. It's a familiar scenario that underscores the importance of clear communication, not only about gifts, but about desires, expectations, and needs in all aspects of connection, including intimacy. Looking back to our own early experiences in the 1970s when we were in our early 20s and dating, things were quite different. We were not practicing members of a faith community at the time, and our exploration of intimacy was marked by youthful excitement and discovery. The hormones and passion of that time made every new experience thrilling. Privacy was often a secondary concern, and we found ourselves enjoying moments of closeness in many unexpected places, fully embracing the freedom of young love. I remember vividly the satisfaction I felt when I could bring him joy through intimate oral affection. Knowing that my efforts led to his pleasure was deeply fulfilling. Conversely, he showed his affection towards me in much the same way, and those moments felt as though everything in the world was right. But as time passed, we began to encounter things that weren't enjoyable for one or both of us. It became clear that not every method or approach was comfortable or pleasurable, and sometimes it was better to simply avoid those actions rather than force them. From there, our intimate life slowly evolved to focus on what felt good to us both. The cornerstone of this evolution was honest, open communication. Sexual communication isn't just about saying what you want. It's equally about listening to what your partner needs and wants and adapting accordingly. True intimacy grows out of this honest exchange, a willingness to give not just what we think is best, but what brings our partner happiness, pleasure, and satisfaction. This is the heart of mutual care. There's a profound truth in the idea that the greater blessing is in giving rather than receiving. In our relationship, we both agree that it's an enormous turn-on to be able to spontaneously express affection in the way that pleases our partner most, without expecting anything in return. Of course, this often leads to reciprocation, but the key is the genuine desire to please and connect. The reality is that maintaining this kind of openness requires vulnerability and courage on both sides. We learned that it's a mistake to enter intimate moments thinking we know everything there is to know about our partner's desires. Not only is that rarely true, but assuming so can create barriers to deeper connection. Worse yet, expecting a partner to accept a limited approach without growth or change stifles the relationship's potential. Over time, it became clear that ongoing communication and a willingness to explore and adapt is essential to keep intimacy alive. Later, when we decided to marry and start a family, life brought its usual complexities. Children, homes, jobs, and all the distractions that can easily crowd out time for privacy and connection. It's all too common that as life's responsibilities pile up, intimacy can suffer. However, with continued commitment to authentic communication and prioritizing each other's needs, intimacy can deepen even amid life's chaos. Along the way, we joined a faith community and embraced Christian values. This added new perspectives to how we viewed intimacy, often bringing questions or doubts about what was appropriate or right. We discovered that not all advice or opinions shared within communities fit our unique relationship. Just because someone feels compelled to offer guidance doesn't mean it's right for us. We had to filter what we heard through the lens of our own experience and mutual understanding. In this journey, we encountered many couples and friends with diverse struggles regarding intimacy. Some women we knew had grown to dislike affectionate oral expressions, and in at least one case, completely withdrew from intimacy with their husbands. We also knew men who felt frustrated and rejected, believing that no matter what they did, it wasn't enough to satisfy their spouse, which deeply impacted their sense of confidence and connection. Marriage, at its core, is a commitment to a monogamous relationship, not just emotionally, but physically. This means each partner is the exclusive source for the other's intimate fulfillment. When one partner refuses to meet those needs, it can sow unhappiness and open doors to temptation or emotional distancing. For that reason, it is incumbent on each person to strive to provide not what they think is best, but genuinely what their partner needs. This requires ongoing dialogue, patience, and mutual cooperation. Just as we've written in previous reflections, we refer to this process as our own intimacy revolution, shaped by honest, open sexual communication. This revolution involved sharing our true feelings, desires, and boundaries, even those we feared might be judged or misunderstood. Unfortunately, many of us go through courtship hiding parts of ourselves, wanting to appear acceptable to our future partners. Then, after marriage, we continue to hold back, hoping someday the opportunity to express our authentic selves will arise. For couples committed to faith traditions, this dynamic can be even more complicated because certain desires might be mistakenly viewed as inconsistent with spiritual values. That makes the act of communication all the more essential. Without it, intimacy can become a series of assumptions, misunderstandings, or disappointments. With it, couples can discover new depths of pleasure, connection, and joy. The journey of understanding and meeting each other's needs is ongoing, rewarding, and foundational to a vibrant relationship. We both agree that there is something incredibly exciting about spontaneously expressing affection in the way that truly pleases your partner without any expectation of receiving the same in return. Though often it happens naturally and beautifully. Moments when one partner is entirely focused on bringing joy to the other create a powerful energy between two people. I recall times when I was fully present, giving my attention with care and enthusiasm, and feeling so inspired that I moved instinctively, responding physically to the rising pleasure of my partner. The connection in those moments is electric and deeply fulfilling. One of the greatest mistakes people can make in intimacy is to enter those moments with the assumption that they already understand everything there is to know about their partner's desires. This certainty can be limiting and often leads to frustration. Even worse is expecting the other person to be content with the same approach throughout a lifetime. Relationships evolve, and so do desires and needs. A healthy, intimate life requires ongoing adaptation, exploration, and communication. Together, we built a life. We married, had children, bought homes, welcomed pets, pursued careers, and navigated the busy clutter that everyday life brings. Amid all that, privacy and intimacy can easily be put on the back burner, yet they remain essential for the health of the relationship. Over time, we embraced faith and joined a community that shaped our outlook on many things, including the nature of intimacy. We learned from various friends, mentors, and teachers, but also realized that just because someone offers an opinion doesn't mean it necessarily applies to our relationship. Intimacy is deeply personal, and what works for one couple may not work for another. We witnessed couples facing different struggles. Some women who disliked certain forms of affection to the point of withdrawing completely from physical closeness, and men who felt rejected and inadequate, believing their efforts were never quite right. These situations reflect the importance of honest dialogue and empathy within a marriage. Entering the bonds of matrimony means committing to monogamy, not only emotionally, but physically as well. You become each other's exclusive source of closeness and fulfillment. When one partner refuses to engage in satisfying the other's needs, the consequences can be far-reaching, fostering unhappiness and even opening the door to temptation and emotional distance. It is incumbent upon both partners to provide not simply what they want to give, but what their spouse genuinely needs. This cooperative mindset strengthens the foundation of marriage and deepens intimacy. Throughout our shared journey, we have often spoken about what we call our intimacy revolution. This phase came through honest, sometimes difficult communication about our desires, boundaries, and vulnerabilities. Such openness requires courage and trust. Sadly, many couples enter marriage holding back parts of themselves, fearing judgment or rejection. Often, this is intensified in faith-based relationships, where certain desires might be perceived as incompatible with spiritual values. Still, silence and repression only breed frustration and disconnect. True intimacy thrives when both partners feel safe to explore and express their authentic selves. Our revolution involved rediscovering each other's pleasure through clear, candid talk and mutual willingness to experiment lovingly. We encouraged each other to speak up and listen deeply. We learned that exploring new things together, not out of obligation, but from genuine curiosity and respect, can renew desire and bring unexpected joy. This process avoids stagnation and fosters growth. In essence, the art of intimate connection is not just about technique. It centers on attentiveness, patience, and a shared commitment to each other's satisfaction and happiness. When both partners prioritize this reciprocal giving and receiving, the relationship blossoms into something far richer and more enduring than physical pleasure alone. When it comes to expressing affection in a way that truly delights a woman, attentiveness and gentle care are essential. Intimate oral connection, often considered an art in itself, involves using the tongue, lips, and overall mouth with sensitivity and purpose. This kind of closeness can also be enhanced by secondary touches, whether from fingers or specially designed tools, to create a fuller experience of pleasure. One important aspect I learned to communicate to my husband was how sometimes, as a woman approaches the peak of pleasure, she gets very close to climax, but then the sensation fades away before fully arriving. This can be incredibly frustrating, especially if it happens multiple times during a moment or session, because it feels like making so much progress only to have it slip away. The key to navigating this is patience and persistence. Giving up or frustration on either side can quickly dampen the experience. However, if both partners stay focused and keep the rhythm steady, the payoff when the final moment arrives can be truly astonishing. Today, this teasing approach is often called edging, bringing oneself close to climax and then backing off to build intensity for the final release. It's interesting to note that this can happen to men as well, who can experience a similar delay or hanging at the brink of satisfaction. What I had to explain to my husband was simple but important. When I expressed approval by saying things like, "That's right, stay there and keep doing it," I meant exactly that. He shouldn't interpret this as an invitation to switch tactics or try something new in pursuit of variety, but rather to maintain what was clearly working. Consistency in those moments can build confidence and heighten pleasure for both partners. Another important piece of the puzzle was learning to communicate with more than just words. Soft moans, gentle whimpers, and even expressive cries become a language that reassures and encourages a partner during intimate moments. Along with nonverbal cues, clear verbal communication helps guide the experience. Phrases such as softer, harder, or slide your fingers down and gently touch here work wonders in letting a partner know exactly what feels best. The key takeaway is communicate openly. While much of the focus might be on the sensitive spot, often described colloquially as the little button that sits just beneath the surface, true enjoyment usually comes from paying attention to the entire area surrounding it. This means giving care to every part of a woman's vulva, including the outer and inner lips, her thighs, and even the pelvis. The power of soft, sensual kisses along the inner thighs cannot be overstated. They add layers of anticipation and pleasure that enrich the whole experience. Once a woman has experienced an extraordinary connection through this kind of care, she naturally desires more. In our own life, there have been many occasions when I reached multiple climaxes, sometimes 5 or 6, before finally needing a pause. These weren't always immediate or sequential, but over a span of time filled with mutual exploration and enjoyment. Sometimes, my eagerness took the form of holding tightly to his head, grinding my body against his mouth and moaning or begging him on. Other times, I would take more control, rising to a seated position and moving rhythmically as if competing in a race, completely lost in the sensation. My expressions were raw and unrestrained, from soft murmurs to outright dirty talk, all serving to deepen our connection and enhance pleasure. Occasionally, I would stimulate my own body-pinching nipples, for example, or invite his hands to join mine. At times, when I needed extra support, He would pull me down firmly to deepen the sensations, especially when it caused the most sensitive area to press against his pelvis. This mutual give and take allows us to sustain the intensity and prolong the connection. Beyond what might be found in videos or articles, which often provide helpful tips on techniques, the true secret lies in sexual communication. Partners must be willing to share what truly brings pleasure, to test new ideas with openness, and to respect boundaries if something isn't comfortable. For me, the most effective touch with fingers involves placing the palm up, curving fingers slightly, and pressing just inside in a gentle, controlled motion. This complements the tongue's attention to the clitoral area beautifully. While anal intimacy is not something I embraced early in our marriage, through open conversations and mutual trust, we've explored it carefully in recent years. It requires special attention to cleanliness, patience, and plenty of lubrication. When done right, gentle touch in that area can add a unique element of pleasure, with sensations of tightening and pressure creating a sense of fullness and connection. The combination of these varied touches, from lips to fingers and sometimes more, is immersive and can be overwhelming in the best way. Everything always comes back to the necessity of communication. Both partners must feel comfortable expressing their desires and limits, and be willing to try new things with mutual respect and care. Our current intimate life is richer and more fulfilling than at any earlier time, even as age, health, and emotions create occasional challenges. What has made the difference is knowing that we can talk honestly, explore safely, and always prioritize each other's happiness. As men age, changes naturally occur, and it is important for both partners to acknowledge this with understanding and kindness. Physical sensations, timing, and preferences evolve, and open communication becomes crucial in adapting to these shifts. It is essential, especially for wives, not to internalize these changes as personal rejection or fault. Each man is unique, and the key lies in honest conversations about what feels pleasurable and comfortable at different stages of life. For instance, I've discovered that my husband often enjoys a variety of forms of affection beyond the obvious. Sometimes gentle attention to his nipples during intimate moments enhances his pleasure considerably. Other times, light touches or deeper connections in less commonly explored areas add to the experience, contributing to a fuller sense of closeness. One practice that has become part of our mutual exploration is prostate stimulation, known to many as a way to intensify pleasure during moments of connection. While not everyone may feel comfortable at first, with patience, thorough cleanliness, and mutual trust, this can add a new dimension to intimacy. There is something profoundly tender and stimulating in the gentle stimulation of the sphincter area with the tongue, a practice that can deepen both emotional and physical connection. Watching my partner's reactions, the way his body tightens and responds while I maintain eye contact, adds layers of meaning and trust to our shared experience. These moments are not only about physical pleasure, but also about vulnerability and warmth, reinforcing the bond that sustains us through life's changes. As time passes, we have noticed that it often takes longer for men to reach their peak moments of pleasure. However, this delay is often accompanied by heightened intensity and depth of sensation, which can be both rewarding and beautiful. This shift means that partners need to embrace patience and sometimes vary their approach to maintain comfort and enjoyment. Providing alternate forms of stimulation, such as coupling oral affection with manual techniques, can ease physical strain and sustain the flow of intimacy. For example, using fingers alongside oral connection or gentle pinching of sensitive areas can provide breaks for the mouth and lips, while still delivering rich, pleasurable experiences. Incorporating these variations helps keep things enjoyable and reduces fatigue during longer sessions. Particular attention to sensitive areas like the frenulum, the delicate tissue beneath the head of the peniskin, enhance pleasure significantly. Stimulating this spot with gentle licking, sucking, or thumb strokes, especially when well lubricated, often results in more intense climaxes. A helpful tip shared by my husband is to coordinate the movements of the mouth and hands, synchronizing sucking and stroking to maximize sensation. Keeping a firm but gentle grip around the shaft as the mouth moves up and down adds to the dynamic and satisfying rhythm. During these moments, also consider using nurturing touches on the scrotum. While not involving squeezing the testicles directly, lightly holding the skin connecting the scrotal sac to the underside of the penis provides pleasurable sensations. Applying lubrication and gently milking the area as you continue oral affection enhances comfort and pleasure. This multifaceted approach to touch engages several sensitive areas simultaneously, creating a rich tapestry of sensation. It's important to remember that oral affection is not limited solely to having the partner's intimate area in the mouth. Visual connection matters too. Looking your partner in the eyes during these moments can heighten emotional intimacy and excitement. Sharing these gazes fosters vulnerability and trust, turning the experience into a deeper bonding activity. We've come to appreciate that changing physiology and evolving preferences require us to continually adjust and support each other. This attentiveness, patience, and openness have strengthened our connection over the years. There have been times when physical health or emotional circumstances slowed our intimate life, but through mutual understanding and adaptability, we've maintained a satisfying and rich relationship. What we found most helpful is the willingness to communicate without judgment, to share feedback gently and positively, and to remain curious about each other's responses. Exploring together, respecting limits, and celebrating discoveries nourish the love and affection between us. Through this journey, intimacy has become less about mechanics and more about connection, trust, and heartfelt giving. Over the years, we have come to understand that the foundation of a fulfilling, intimate relationship lies not just in physical technique, but, more importantly, in open communication and mutual respect. Nothing replaces the power of honest dialogue between partners. While there are countless resources available, videos, articles, and advice from experts, these can offer helpful tips and ideas but cannot substitute for the unique conversation and understanding shared within a relationship. Each couple must navigate their own path, discovering what brings pleasure, comfort, and connection to both parties. This journey requires patience, trust, and a willingness to listen deeply and speak openly. Exploring new expressions of affection should always be grounded in mutual consent and enthusiasm. Both partners need to feel safe and free to express desires as well as boundaries, honoring each other's limits without pressure or judgment. Being attuned to each other's responses through voice, body language, or verbal guidance is essential to creating a truly pleasurable experience. There is no one-size-fits-all approach. What delights one may not appeal to another, so continuous communication is the key to tailoring intimate moments to suit both partners' needs and wants. Over time, this builds a deeper connection that extends beyond the physical, fostering emotional closeness and trust. The more partners share their authentic selves, their fantasies, likes, dislikes, fears, and hopes, the richer their bond becomes. Vulnerability can be challenging but is essential to intimacy. When two people feel genuinely safe enough to reveal their truest desires and boundaries, it results in a dynamic space where love and pleasure can flourish. Sometimes this means challenging long-held misconceptions or cultural expectations that create shame or fear around certain topics. By breaking down these barriers within the privacy of a loving partnership, couples can create a sanctuary where both feel fully accepted and cherished. It is important to remember that intimacy is a journey rather than a destination. Desire evolves, bodies change, and emotional rhythms rise and fall. What matters is the commitment to walk that path together with honesty and compassion. There will be times when energy wanes or obstacles arise, whether due to health, stress, or other life circumstances, but maintaining open communication helps couples navigate these seasons gracefully. Mutual care and understanding help preserve the connection, renewing spark and closeness when the time is right. We have found that being playful, spontaneous, and willing to learn from one another keeps the intimacy alive and vibrant. Sharing laughter, teasing gently, and celebrating small victories in connection all contribute to a joyful sexual life. This lightheartedness relieves pressure and cultivates an atmosphere where experimentation feels safe and fun. At the core, a satisfying, intimate life is an ongoing dialogue. It's an exchange of questions and answers, expressions and receptions, giving and receiving. When both partners actively participate in this conversation with patience and kindness, the relationship flourishes in profound ways that touch every part of life together. We hope that sharing our journey inspires others to embrace this dialogue and build their own fulfilling, authentic connections. With openness, respect, and love, couples can discover pleasures and depths of intimacy far beyond what they might have imagined.